Ready for the video?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Honestly, right off the bat, it kind of hit a little bit because of the things that I struggle with. So
Wow,
Same soil, isn't it?
that's crazy.
Does that
Really is.
explain the fear?
right off the bat, it was a lot of hate comments, which I still get now. So really bad cyberbullying.
great question.
Misery,
It really is
and
deep.
collective rage.
Blissful or stressful or miserable, what's your choice?
Blissful.
Definitely to be
for sure.
blissful.
If you feel negative in your own being, you're going to project that onto somebody else because
Being rude to others. Have you ever experienced that with social media?
yes, I have probably more than the average person. Wake up to probably 10 minimum of, hate comments just towards me.
Present practice. What's conscious? This is Vish
Emerald.
and today we'll be responding to Sadhguru's video on
How to escape the cycle of stress, anxiety, and misery.
I'm an aspiring yogi. I've been meditating for over 4 years now. Love all things meditation, yoga, and wisdom based. And today I'm grateful to have Emerald on the show. Want to introduce yourself?
I'm Emerald. I'm from Austin, Texas. I'm a model, and I'm very excited to be here today.
And she's super wise. And before we get into this, the topic is on stress, anxiety, and misery. Do you have any of those?
I do struggle with severe anxiety and a lot of stress all of the time, so I'm really excited to see how this video will play out.
And with that,
Let's get started.
We have all gotten committed to individual identities and prejudices, that life happens as one big whole. When we are buried, we all become part of the land.
wow,
Same soil, isn't it?
that's crazy.
Does that
Really is.
explain the fears from the other ideology, ideas, thoughts, the anxiety and stress from the future and the prominent is now a prominent feature of a human being in 21st century? How did big part of people nowadays got trapped in this vicious circle of frustration,
question.
misery,
It really is
and
deep.
collective rage?
See, if you look at it, what happens within a human being is entirely caused by him or her within themselves. Your joy and misery
I agree.
happens within you. Pain and pleasure happens within
Do you?
you.
I do.
Right now, actually, even what is light and darkness happens only within you. Because what is light for you is darkness for some other creature. This is all the way it is happening within us, or in other words, the very basis of your experience is within you. When the very basis of experience is within you, should you not determine what is the nature of your experience? If you did determine what is the nature of your experience, would you make it pleasant or unpleasant for yourself? Definitely pleasant. If there is a choice right now within you, either to be blissful or stressful or miserable, what's your choice?
Blissful.
Definitely to be
Blissful, for sure.
blissful. So this ability to exercise this choice is something that we have not spread across in the society. We have not brought this into our children's lives. We have not made this a part of our education, that the most important thing for a human being is that you are a wonderful human being. If you are a wonderful human being, when you are feeling wonderful within yourself, you naturally do wonderful things to everybody. When you are feeling horrible within yourself, you will do horrible things to other people. And every human being can notice this. When they're happy, if you meet them, they are wonderful.
So, very insightful points, and I think he's being quite straightforward here, which I love. And he was talking about, people that are, for example, just not at peace within, being rude to others. Have you ever experienced that with social media?
Yes, I have probably more than the average person. I deal with that about every day from other people, projecting that negativity onto someone else for not really a reason besides their own emotions.
Why do you think people do that?
I honestly believe that, like he said, if you feel negative in your own being, you're going to project that onto somebody else because if you can't deal with how you feel inside, you're going to show that to somebody else so that someone else can feel that pain that you can't quite project in a healthy way.
Beautifully said. And I'm curious, in terms of how to overcome those, rude people, for instance. I would love to hear what you all think about how you deal with that or how you'd recommend it for people that are in social media like me or Emerald. So comment that down below. And with that, let's get
Started.
back into it.
People. If you meet them when they're miserable, angry, frustrated, whatever else, they can be nasty human beings. So this dimension of life has been neglected in our eagerness to develop our economies, to exploit the world, do whatever. We are busy fixing the world. Yes, world needs to be fixed to some extent. But we think by fixing the world, everything will be all right. No, we also need to fix this human being. Fixing this human being means we have all gotten committed to individual identities and prejudices. From the simple aspect of gender, we are the same species, but gender has become like two different species. Nations, ideologies, race, religion, all kinds of things have divided and fractured humanity in so many different ways. It is time that we instill this in our children and the future generations, that life happens as one big whole. But it is the magnanimity of the creation that it gives us an individual experience, but actually it's happening as one whole. Either we understand this now, or we will anyway get it when we are buried. When we are buried, we all become part of the land. Same soil, isn't it?
Yes.
Honestly, right off the bat, it kind of hit a little bit because of the things that I struggle with. So to hear, someone else expressing it and kind of giving me insight onto why that might be happening, it's peaceful almost.
Thank you. No, I absolutely agree with you. It's really cool how he, at least in general, I mean, real quickly, just talking about his style of like talking and answering questions. It depends on, I guess, his maybe mood or maybe, I don't think it's a mood per se. I mean, he's obviously a lot more conscious than that. I think, based on the question itself, he'll take a certain approach, right, with how to answer that question. So I definitely think he did a great job, addressing quite a bit of that stress and anxiety and what happens today, as well as the schooling system. I guess something I'm curious about is, do you think stress and anxiety is a normal thing and should be normal?
I think that, back then, maybe even 20, 30 years ago, it wasn't something that you meet someone off the street and you guys just randomly talk and you're like, oh, you have anxiety? I have anxiety too. But I feel like now it's become so big on everybody that everybody does experience it in some way. But I don't think, it should be something that is as popular as it is today.
I actually agree 100%. Do you think it's a good or bad thing that this is, getting just normalized?
I think, it's both. It's a good thing because it brings attention to people who do struggle with anxiety or stress, or you find someone and you can connect with them on that level because you can help each other out. But I also think it's a negative thing because of the fact that, so many people should not be struggling with the same thing. It just doesn't seem right.
Now, do you think, I guess a question, and we'd love to hear what you all think about this, do you think people actually do have these issues, or sometimes people are getting tricked into thinking that they have these issues? Would love to hear what you think about that question in the comments down below. What are your thoughts?
I think that social media nowadays does play a big role in it. You feel one thing, and I do this, so I can't really say anything. But
Confirmation bias.
Yeah, if I go on Google and I Google my symptoms, and the first thing that pops up, I'm just like, oh, I have that. So people, they feel a certain way, and then it's kind of like they go with that. So it's, I don't know. I feel like it's just weird a little bit nowadays. Social media and just websites play a big factor in that.
I agree. I definitely think social media has, for sure, maybe exaggerated as well as overexposed than the reality of what it is. And it almost is, I think, glorified, right? Mental health issues, or even just for example, and this is where I think it might sound controversial. I don't have definitive views. I think here's the key, right? With, for example, this whole fat shaming thing or mental health shaming thing. I know people don't believe in it, but the key is, I think it should be normalized to the point where if someone does have it, we need to accept it, and it's okay to talk about it, right? But at the same time, I feel like sometimes it's talked about a bit too much. And to say that it's okay to have it, I think is totally fine. But to say that it's to say out of pride, right?
Yeah.
Where you're essentially encouraging people to have it that don't have it. I don't know, I feel like that might be not the best way to go. What do you think?
I agree. Also, social media, TikTok, Instagram, they see somebody have a mental health issue, and it's almost as if they see the attention they get, so they want that attention as well. So they glorify that idea, and they convince themselves that they do have a certain mental health issue, even if, you know, it's not medically diagnosed. It's the glorification that social media gives people that gives them that satisfaction of attention.
I absolutely agree with that, and I think it's very harmful and very dangerous, especially these big people, because, you know, with big followings, because now they're doing it, and now they're having their followers also kind of get tricked into that. So, and here's the thing, I mean, again, I think mental health is obviously a very real thing, but having gone through it myself, I mean, I'm pretty transparent. I used to have quite a bit of anxiety. I have overcome that, and I think it's a very possible thing. So I think it's something that should be accepted, but at the same time, needs to be realized that it's something that's very possible to overcome. What are your thoughts on that?
I also agree. I feel like, you know, when you struggle with something and you know you struggle with it, you really, really do struggle with it. So to be able to pull yourself out of that and overcome it, it's an amazing feeling. But I also understand, you know, some people can't overcome it, or it's difficult for them.
At least immediately.
Yeah, immediately. Like over time, you know, you work on it, you figure out what works for you, and it really does help. But it's just social media just push on the idea of mental health.
I agree, and I'm curious if you don't mind sharing. What are your experiences with anxiety? Like, if you would want to talk about
of
it.
course. I have had anxiety, severe anxiety, since I was about 8 years old. You know, my dad was in the military all my life, so I grew up with that generalized idea of anxiety and that feeling. And then when I got older, you know, I started modeling when I was 15. I was really young, and right off the bat, it was a lot of hate comments, which I still get now. So really bad cyberbullying, and it put a lot of anxiety onto me, and in the end, just made it a lot worse, and it added into, you know, depression and stress, and it was something really, really hard to overcome, and something I do still battle every day, because I still do get those comments. But I started to find out what worked for me and how I can every day make myself feel a little bit better. And then hopefully in the end, if someone were to ask me, like, how did you do this? I have my strategies that I can project onto them, and in the end, help them overcome it as well.
I love that, and I want to thank you for being so transparent, sharing that. I think it's brave of you, and I think it's super important as well for those of y'all also struggling with these things to realize, one, that you're not alone. Others also go through that stuff, and yeah, just for, I mean, those of y'all, or maybe people that, you know, I'm sure most of my viewers are pretty kind, but if you know other friends or have people that do portray this negative type of, you know, just, I don't know, this negative verbiage or just comments on others, just realize, right? Please share with them and bring the awareness that you never know what someone's going through, right? And so, I really think you're just doing yourself a lot more harm. And some advice I would share, at least having had some hateful comments as well in the past, I think the key is this, right? And it's going to sound harsh, but it's, I think, the reality. You have two choices. Either you can get wounded by these things, or you can get wiser by these things. And obviously, initially, the woundedness is going to be natural, right? Because you're not used to it. But I think over time, if you keep getting wounded, that's what leads to that downward spiral. And you have the ability to realize that, one, these people have nothing better to do, and it's just a waste of time. And you giving them that energy is you also wasting time. And yeah, I mean, I think it's important to transform that fuel, right, into, as you amazingly said, I think towards the end, I mean, like an education, right? So helping others out who have these issues. Yeah, what do you think about this?
I agree 100%. You know, I check my phone in the morning, and I wake up to probably 10 minimum of, you know, hate comments just towards me. And, you know, at first you read it, it's the first thing you see in the morning, and you think, darn, like, what did I do? But then I start to, you know, realize I don't know these people. They don't know me personally. They're just trying to find something to release their energy. And so I started to realize and become grounded in who I am, that I'm not what they're saying I am. I know who I am, and that helped a lot, and that's still what I do today. So just the idea that someone else is going through something and they're just trying to, you know, they can't express their own pain. So that's what they're trying to do, is to project it on others. So I understand that, and I don't try not to take it too personally now.
I agree, and there's actually this beautiful quote, which, I mean, regardless of his religious background, so Jesus, he actually talks about this, and you know, at least from the spiritual standpoint, it's a very beautiful and powerful line, which is essentially, I might be kind of paraphrasing here, but it's along the lines of how, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they do. And the whole, you know, meaning behind that is that people are just unconscious. In fact, I think he said this line, Jesus said this line while he was getting nailed on the cross, which I think is incredible, right? He's literally forgiving someone that's nailing them on the cross. So I think it's a very similar and powerful principle that we can implement in our lives, and realizing that people that do these things are just unconscious. They don't know any better, and just forgive them, right? Because by you, Eckhart Tolle talks about this, by you labeling the other person as a bad person or as a hater, you're creating that impression on yourself because you're viewing them that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, people, I tend to, when I get those messages, I just sit back and think, I don't know what they're going through. They don't know what I'm going through. They don't know what they're saying to me, how it affects me. I'm not going to give into it. I'm just going to delete it and hope they get through whatever they get through, because in the end, you know, you don't just say those negative things to just anybody. You don't say them for no reason. So I tend to try to just step back and put myself in their shoes, which, you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and just realize, you know, they could be going through something really, really hard and they just need to let everything out. So I don't reply, and I just forgive it and move on.
Perfect. Thank you so much again, Emerald. Seriously, I think this was one of my favorite ones together, and really just appreciated the transparency. I think this will definitely help the viewers who are watching. And I want to thank you all for watching and taking this time to listen to our perspectives, our backgrounds, and would love to hear what you thought, whether you agreed, disagreed. Again, open platform here. Hate or love, I don't discriminate. Just share and comment down below what you thought. And again, remind the viewers, Emerald, where can they find you?
Instagram is EMERALDDLEN.
Yeah, please definitely recommend y'all show her love. I know y'all are super kind and would definitely appreciate that. And again, give her that follow. And if you have any other video reaction requests or different personality requests for the show, you can also comment down below. With that, make a great day, take it joyful, and stay conscious. Awesome job, Emerald.
Thank you.
You're great.
Thank you.